So next up is Katharina. Welcome, Katharina.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. How are you today?
Very well. How are you? Apart from being tired, as you just said.
Yeah, well, it's working, so that's great. It's great to do this. It's hard work to get everybody live on stage and to do everything, but we do it together as a great team. So I'm really happy to make this possible.
Brilliant.
So what do you do at WeWork? We just start.
Well, I head up the strategy and real estate side for the region. So that is Germany, Holland, the Nordics. And there's, we're quite busy at the moment. I think as a lot of us, we're looking at the market, having to deal with COVID and, trying to see how things evolve.
Okay. I think Lotte is sending you an open request. So she can open your presentation, I guess.
Okay.
That is crazy.
All this protection.
All those protections, yeah.
It worked so nicely the other time. Okay.
Oh, it's on your drive, so you need to give a lot of permission to handle the presentation. Probably.
You should have that now, Lotte.
Okay, she should have it right now. That's cool. So a lot is changing right now, or not?
Yeah. Lots of changes going on, lots of challenges, but I think a lot of opportunities as well. I think the exciting thing is that, as I'll talk about it in a minute, but there are a lot of companies looking for new solutions for workplaces. So, we also get approached. There's some companies that decide that they don't want to have any assets anymore, any leases. So they go fully into space, flexible space like our space, which is obviously very exciting. Try that out, see how that goes, use us as swing space, use us for long-term solutions. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And of course, the question that I must ask to you, how is life at WeWork without the former CEO? Is it changed?
Well, we're having a great team, I think, on board. We have a lot of real estate expertise now, which coming from that world, I think it's great. We've come very far since the failed IPO. So, I think it's all going really well. Business plan.
A bit of relax and calming down again, and now things will move forward.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. I think the presentation is there. I see the presentation.
Sounds great.
So I give you the floor. We're a little bit out of time, but let's see how we can.
I'll try to catch up somehow.
Good luck.
Thanks. It's a bit difficult, but thanks for tuning in. I'm really excited. I would like to highlight in maybe not 8 minutes now, maybe just 5, the benefits of a truly flexible workspace like WeWork. And I want to show you what flexibility means to employees and how it benefits companies and cities. Next slide, please. So what happened? I think this part we can probably cut a little short. In January, the first COVID cases appeared. At the end of January, Wuhan went into lockdown. And the first cases were also happening in Germany, France, Italy. By the end of March, we all had strict public health measures and various national lockdowns. I think 73 countries were affected. But, and this is the positive, decades worth of digitalization happened within days. So what happened then? I think we can all say that we were astonished. And we are very pleased because, communication still worked. We could still work. We realized, maybe a lot of jobs can actually technically be performed from anywhere, including home. Next slide, please. But after that period of high being proud and joy and working flexibly from home, I think we all felt that feeling of isolation and lack of motivation, lower productivity. And then I think we all realized that this can't be the long-term solution. Companies need just a new way of working. Next slide, please. So what will happen then? I think a lot of companies, and David also touched on it just now, is people are looking for a new workplace strategy. So, companies like Amazon said working from home is allowed until the end of the year. Google, as mentioned here, said they can work from home until summer next year. Twitter didn't even set a deadline, and companies in Germany like Brookfield and Cushman locally said, well, everybody has to be back in the office, and that's what they did from June this year. Next slide. But I think what becomes very, very clear is in that huge uncertainty, employees want flexibility in their workspace, and there are a lot of surveys that supported that. And I think there's proof that, a lot of people feel not so productive when working from home. They, as I said, lack collaboration, motivation, innovation, and more than 80% from some surveys say feel less connected to their teams and their employers. So what everybody really ultimately wants is to return to the office, but flexibly. Next slide. But what about the companies? I think we all know that they're under huge pressure and challenges. They need to maintain a unique corporate culture. They need to attract and retain talent. They need to accommodate still large teams somehow if they want to meet, to collaborate and connect, as I mentioned earlier. So all those essential elements for enterprises to grow and be successful in the long term need to somehow be dealt with. Then all the health and safety requirements, distancing rules, etc. So what do companies do? Next slide, please. They look for answers being a right balance of workplaces. So I think the common denominator is all these options that I'm showing here, having one HQ and operating from a distributed hub, or having team A and team B come in on alternative weeks, or working from home. I think the common denominator is that we need greater flexibility, whilst ensuring that there's good air quality, there's sanitization, the space allows for social distancing, and deal with what employees want, that is a convenient, accessible space where they can collaborate and get inspiration from. And I think for companies, a further point is it needs to all be cost effective. I think that's why a lot of companies are now thinking about reducing space and maybe moving into a more flexible space. We strongly believe that working from home will ultimately become a supplemental to rather than a substitute for offices. And what do we at WeWork do? Well, we also look at the situation and trial things. So one of the things that we're trialing, next slide please, is something that we call on demand. So on demand is something that we've started to trial in August in 12 buildings in New York, which we've now broadened to the entire city in New York, where workspace is being made available to as many people as possible by providing immediate access to our space at an affordable price. So you pay $10 per hour for a seat in a WeWork, don't need to be a member, you can just walk in. Or if you want to stay for the entire day, you pay $25 for the entire day. And that's how we look and explore adapting to the changing work landscape. We want to give people what they're looking for, more flexibility. Next slide, please. I think we all agree that flexibility will become the new normal. And just highlighting a couple of things, I think instead of having a long lease term contract, we are in the real estate world and that's the norm, companies will in the future want flexible space to grow and shrink, varying sizes of meeting rooms, varying types of meeting rooms. But they also want to have space offered for their employees where people can work, people can meet, people can communicate with others. So I think space now needs to offer all of that. And what does it do to cities? David touched on that earlier as well. I think it means that flexible space in the cities can really benefit the cities as well as the employees. I think a lot of us lived in New York, London, Berlin, and our normal commute to the office is 45 minutes, 1 hour, sometimes in one direction. And, you know, if you can reach an office or space that you can work from within 15 minutes, you don't only reduce carbon dioxide emissions, but you also have less commute. You use your time more effectively, you're more productive, and you get a better work-life balance. Maybe we can now play the little video where I can show you how we think tomorrow works.
Rapapa, rapapa. Will it work? Yes.
Do we get a sound?
Yeah, we will for sure get a sound. I know Lotte can make this. I know.
She's a guru.
Back to work. Something we used to say without much thought. Now, it's never carried more weight. We know things will be different, but are asking ourselves, how will it work? How will we put our heads together in a space that makes us feel safe? How can we avoid fixed costs in a variable world? How do we build a business without building an office and transform the workspace from a place to come to work to a space where work comes to life? How do we go from what wasn't working to what will?
Well, thank you. I think that brings us to the last slide, just saying thank you for listening. I think this hopefully showed how tomorrow is already working well.